This week on Smacking Off the Podcast.
Yeah, we're both Bama fans, so what do you got to say about that, Ho?
We're going to beat your ass in Death Valley.
Yeah, you beat something, but it won't be my ass. Benny Snell, do we expect to see him in New York this December?
I mean, yeah, he should be, without a doubt. My opinion might be a little biased, but
Alabama is a machine, and I think Georgia is a machine because Kirby has transferred 9 years under Saban at Alabama, plus years before, to Georgia. And I think both of those teams are just running as a machine.
I'm the great spectacular on the fucking face of the earth right now.
You're just jealous of my shine.
Today's in there tripping on acid, man. This is going to be a great episode.
I try to do my part, guys. SEC player of the year, bro. Come on, that's like being the smartest kid in your special ed class, bro. Ain't nobody take that seriously.
Are you pooping?
I believe that's what they call
You're
it.
pooping. I don't hear pee sounds, dude. You're making...
Because I would beat so bad damn brains out.
No, USC is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Don't be ridiculous right now. You fucking talking ass.
What the fuck are you saying about the SEC, bro?
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
Meatloaf is moist as my pussy gets. I probably should have.
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still going to have it.
Smacking Off the Podcast.
It makes me like I got on.
Bro, I'm gonna be a SoundCloud rapper, bro.
That is the best thing you've ever said on this show. And welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with my co-host and wonderful producer, Mr. Doug Phillips. Doug, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm great.
We're gonna just dive right in. I'm taking my pants right off, and we're gonna go ahead and lube it up. Ladies and gentlemen, this man needs no introduction. To talk about SEC football tonight, the one and only Mr. S.M. Gibson. How you doing?
I can't complain, and I'm pretty sure that your listeners are not prepared for the soliloquies we're about to deliver to them.
No, and we've talked way too much about Kentucky. There will be other conversation about Kentucky on this show, so I think right now we need to all make a solemn pact and not talk about Kentucky when we talk about the SEC. Is that fair?
I can't do it.
So what do you have to say about Kentucky? What are your feelings about this whole Kentucky Wildcat madness that's sweeping the nation?
I'll give a short story for everybody that's listening right now. This is true. There is a story of Nick Saban, the head coach of Alabama, as most people well know, the greatest coach to ever walk our planet.
Amen.
In a bar, writing down plays with another coach. And at the time, there was nobody in the bar. It was just them sitting on the end of the bar. Somebody came in with a shotgun and robbed the bar. Well, Nick Saban and the other coach never realized any of this happened. They were so engrossed in what they were doing, writing plays on napkins and talking amongst themselves, that the guy robbed the bar with a shotgun and then left. So then the bartender got angry because they never realized anything that happened. They were so engrossed in what they were doing. The assistant coach that Nick Saban was discussing football with was Mark Stoops, who is now the head coach of Kentucky.
Very interesting. And I've heard this story before, but I didn't know who the other coach was.
It was Mark Stoops, yes.
So having said
they just beat Florida in the swamp. There's something to be said for that, even though Florida is definitely in a down year.
They're in a down year, but they're not truly horrible. They're not. I mean, they're certainly they don't look like a cellar dweller in the SEC. They look like one of your average, 7-5 teams.
Agree.
But yeah, that's that. I mean, that's big. That's really big. But
so I think Kentucky may be in an up year. I mean, they're certainly not going to win the East because the beast of the East is Kirby Smart, correct?
That's absolutely correct. There's no getting around that. And he is he's already deep as fuck. And next, 2 years are going to be just ridiculous.
I think they could beat Alabama, personally.
Yeah.
You think Georgia could beat Alabama now?
They look good. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I don't know. They lost 30 scholarship players. I'll be more sold on Georgia when I see them against a really Carolina. I don't think a lot of them must champ in big games like that.
Well, particularly with the talent that Kirby's. I mean, Kirby's already got some pretty decent talent there.
I'll tell you what, if they go down and they handle LSU at Baton Rouge, which they are going, then I will officially get concerned with Georgia.
Yeah, I'm not, as an Alabama fan, I'm not concerned about LSU so much, but I'm very concerned about Georgia.
Why? What is it about the Alabama LSU game upcoming that you just are completely just nonplussed about?
I think coaching has a lot to do with it. First off, LSU is a perennial competitor in the SEC West for the past decade. No doubt about it. And I've always had a lot of respect for them, especially when Les Miles was there. I like Orgeron. I didn't think that I would, but I do. So I have a ton of respect for them. I just don't think they have all the pieces of the puzzle together yet. I don't think they can compete. I think they're very ragtag. And I think Alabama is a machine. And I think Georgia is a machine because Kirby has transferred 9 years under Saban at Alabama, plus years before, to Georgia. And I think both of those teams are just running as a machine.
Yeah.
And I think LSU's just got a great group of players and a lot of talent, but I don't think necessarily that they're on par yet with the other two schools.
No, definitely not. Definitely not in the coaching department.
No.
I mean,
I don't think Orgeron's that methodical.
I'm almost afraid to say anything because I've trashed Orgeron since the minute he got to LSU. I've trashed Orgeron before he got to LSU.
He's made you eat your words in the last few weeks.
Yeah, he has definitely made me eat a big giant pile of dog crap in the past few weeks, particularly last week. That was just I'm sorry, I just didn't see it coming, and I don't know. Maybe that was ignorant of me. But then again, we're talking about Auburn at Jordan-Hare.
I'm going to say this, though.
Loaded to the gills with talent on both sides of the ball.
Auburn did lose the game, though.
They did.
LSU didn't win it. Auburn lost it.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Well, I don't think, Stidham, he's overrated, right?
Yeah,
I've always thought
he is
overrated.
definitely overrated. Clemson fans definitely believe that.
Well, I don't believe in Stidham at all. I've never have. I don't know why they put so much hope in him. I mean, it's kind of like Jalen Hurts with Alabama. Yeah, he's great. He's won some games, but now that we have an actual quarterback, how's that worked out? And I think
it's worked out pretty damn good. Roll Tide.
Right. I think Hurts is a better quarterback. I won't say quarterback. He's a better leader than Stidham.
Yeah, I can buy that.
We are where we are.
So
Who else is going to beat Auburn this year, do y'all think?
Well, I don't know. After last week, the sky's the limit.
I don't know.
I'm not completely giving up on Auburn this year, but I mean, now,
I'm not either.
Now that we're all back to reality and we're actually talking some sense, I mean, because that was a game that, quite frankly, Auburn should not have lost.
Let me see what Mississippi State does up at Kentucky. Auburn has to go to Starkville. That could be an interesting game.
Cowbells. Woo, them cowbells are loud.
Okay, am I alone in thinking that Jimbo he's going to pull together a Terry Bowden type season with semi-good talent, not great, but he's getting
but good enough to eke out wins, yeah.
But shouldn't he get a couple losses awarded to him for what he left Florida, the condition he left Florida State in? Because I know this can't all be Taggart's fault.
Yeah, I think.
They look lost.
I think you're right about that.
Do you really believe if Jimbo Fisher was the coach that they would have almost lost to Sanford? They would have won by 4 touchdowns.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't put all that. He's not Urban Meyer. He didn't leave the university in that bad of a shape the way Urban Meyer left Florida.
Oh, Florida is still, keeping their fingers crossed this season that they recover finally. It's been, gone from bad to awful down there.
I'm not sure that Florida, as far as in this season, just judging on this season, I'm not sure they're going to end up as bad as people thinking they're going to at this point. I think they may win a few games.
Which ones do you think they'll win?
I think they may win this weekend up at Neyland.
I'm leaning towards them winning this weekend as well. However,
And they may, and they're definitely going to beat Florida State.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's pretty
they'll
much a
beat
given
Florida
at this
State.
point. Yeah,
I mean,
everybody, any decent team now should be able to, safely be able to prepare for FSU without having, too much.
For
stress
everybody
about
in the Birmingham, Alabama area, Pinson, Clay, Chalkville, Hewitt, Trustful, Hoover, Thompson could all beat Florida State this year.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, they're going to lose to Georgia. I don't know where they play South Carolina, but I think they got a shot to beat South Carolina. If they're playing South Carolina in Gainesville, then I would say Florida edges them out. Probably beat Vanderbilt. That'll be toward the end of the year, and Vanderbilt will have a lot of injuries by then. And
they played Notre Dame a lot closer than I would have believed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a reflection on Vanderbilt as much as it is a reflection on Notre Dame. I'm sorry, yeah. I had a complete brain fart there for a minute. It's been a long day.
The problem with Vanderbilt, I think they always got good starters, but as the season wears on, they don't have any depth. Mm-hmm. And as the season wears on and they get injuries, then they just go downhill.
Yeah.
Except when they play Tennessee late.
Yeah.
they always have a resurgence.
Dan Mullen is a coach?
Well, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Do either one of you believe in Dan Mullen that can bring success to Gainesville again?
I don't know. He did fairly well at Mississippi State, and they don't have near the resources that Florida has. So I don't know.
Yeah, but resources aren't everything, though.
I mean, it's definitely going to get you better.
If that's
players.
the case, then McElwain should have been burning it up, and irregardless of whether he fibbed about something. Trust me, if Jim McElwain was consistently pulling in 10 wins, that situation would not have happened. He could have lied his ass off and got caught doing it, a la Urban Meyer, and still had a job at the end of the day.
I think it was
he was bringing home actual
it was the naked pitcher he took on top of the shark.
Yeah.
I finally found a beer I can respect. Light beer from Miller. It tastes great. But what I really like is it's less filling. Light has 1/3 less calories than their regular beer. I tell you, I gotta watch myself. This is a tough place. Well, this place is so tough, the hat check girl's name is Dominic. In a place like this, I gotta move fast. I can't afford to get filled up. I tell you, I don't get no respect.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I've never been personally convinced with Dan Mullen myself. I think they had a great year with Dak Prescott as quarterback. I think that's reminiscent of Cam at Auburn. Had a great player. But does that mean Gene Chizik was a great coach? No, he was a terrible coach.
Yeah, when I heard Dan Mullen at Florida, I instantly thought of Ron Zook. I don't know why.
I don't think he's that bad. Hey,
Ron Zook wasn't really that awful.
He wasn't terrible.
He wasn't terrible.
He actually won some big games.
But he was put in a really horrible position.
I guess, but I mean, and at the end of the day, he's always going to be stuck between Spurrier and Meyer. So
yeah, but I mean, having to step into Spurrier's shoes like that, though, that was like, well, I mean, Ray Perkins, anyone?
Yeah, but he bolted for the Buccaneers, so that's different too, kind of. Like he took kind of a step up because he went to the pros.
Tampa Bay is really nice all year round. It's a little warm this summer, but it's a really nice place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who else do we need to talk about?
Who are the contenders to you, Shannon? You're smarter than me.
No, I'm not. Let's go ahead and get that straight right now. I know better than that. I remember you telling the guy with the Scottish fisherman about exactly how smart you were, and then you slapped this big, giant, huge, hulking man in his face, and he didn't kill you. And at that moment, I knew that Scott might be smarter than me. I would have never been able to pull.
He knew what his limits. He knew what the limits were.
What's that?
You owe me some bills over the bet we made over Trump and Hillary, by the way. Just throw that out there.
Are we supposed to talk about that on air?
Sure,
we're gonna edit this part out.
Go ahead.
No,
I gotta hear this.
No, I sincerely thought that they were going to rig the election for Hillary, which we already have evidence of them doing that. And somehow, some kind of way, some strange thing was going to happen at the end, and Hillary was going to be able to pull it out because she's a company woman. And I don't know. I think they had to relent just a little bit. He's done a pretty commendable job so far. I'm not a huge Trump hater as far as any of the other candidates that were available at that particular point in time. He seemed to have done some good.
I'm a fan of no one, and I stand by that. However, I just thought he would win because I didn't think she would, and I'll be looking at my mailbox this week for that check.
There'll be something in that envelope, and it'll be definitely it'll be something you can cash. All right. They still make Polaroids, by the way.
Yeah,
just throwing that out
they
there.
Still got the one steps.
Yes.
The Instamatics.
Yeah, those things are awesome.
Yeah. I've got a closet full of them over there. I still sell them every now and then.
I can't.
Is it going to be the same camera you used with McElwain? Just promise me that
yes.
it is, and then
yes.
we'll be okay.
It's going to be a little bit better. That was on one of those Nokia brick phones, right? As soon as they introduced the, what was that, like the a quarter of a megapixel camera? Yeah.
Quarter of a megapixel?
Yeah.
It was a picture this size had 9 pixels.
Yeah. it looked like, you ever see that, the White Stripes video with the one where they did the Legos? Yeah, it kind of looked like that. Yeah.
That was a cool video, by the way.
That was a cool phone. You could not destroy those old Nokia brick phones. You could throw them up against a wall. You could run over them with a car. They would still make a call.
Yeah, but you can't do Spotify or anything like that.
But you could definitely get on social media at a blazing 4 kilobits per second.
Fell in love with a Nokia.
They're not bad. I'm a big fan of the LG stuff these days. I think it's very underpriced, very affordable, and it probably has just as much, if not more, spyware in it for the American
I didn't know
government.
Tiggy was from Tehran.
He's not. That's a lie.
No, it's not. He's from Iran. It says right here.
No, that's not.
You can't lie on Facebook. That's illegal, you dickhole.
Whatever.
So you're looking for a competitive game in Tuscaloosa this weekend, Scott? SM?
Maybe a little bit. I think A&M has a great quarterback. I think Jimbo is a good coach, but I'm so the opposite of most Alabama fans. And it's the phrase that I probably beat to death, the old cliche that outside of the whole kid thing, I'm the Woody Allen of Alabama fans because I'm very pessimistic.
Right.
And I always look for what's wrong as opposed to we're going to go undefeated. And I'm always like, well, like this past week, I thought Ole Miss had great receivers, and I thought our secondary was a bit weak, and I thought we would win the game somewhere around 50-30.
Yep, that was pretty much.
And I was wrong, and I was happy to be wrong, but I was wrong. So I think right now that A&M's quarterback was great, and we'll see what happens.
You think 27 points? You think 27 points is a little high?
Personally, yeah. I'd say about 18, 19.
Okay, so you need to jump on A&M in the points.
However, the Alabama team that I think we're all looking at, there is still a part of me that believes this is the greatest college football team we've ever seen.
Yeah, it appears that way, but they haven't played anybody yet.
And this is probably the closest they've come yet to actually playing a really decent team.
Here's what we got to learn. We've got to learn what happens. Oh, first off, first things first. Can Tua be defended? I mean, is there something you can do to throw Tua out of his game? Because he may be good enough where you really can't do that. But we need to see what happens.
Best argument for that you can't. Everybody it's legendary. 2nd 26. Why were we in 2nd 26?
Oh yeah, because
had completely screwed up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Dropped back 16 yards and took a sack, and then his head was being like, "Okay, we're going to do this now. I'm going to throw a rope, and there's nothing you're going to do about it."
Yep.
So maybe he can't get shook.
Yeah. But to me, that's the whole key.
I like that perspective though, because I don't think we've discussed that particular perspective about the way that he didn't just kind of slowly bounce back. He immediately jumped up and kind of got a little pissed off about it. It was like, okay, yeah, watch this.
Are we going to run into a team?
He completely screwed up. I mean,
he most certainly did. And really when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, here we go. Now Georgia's defense is finally going to clamp down, and that's going to be the end of it. And no, I was dead wrong.
And he came back with
has still not proven me. Still keeps proving me wrong every single time he throws the ball.
I still say though
he came back with one play and mad, and here we go. We're done now.
Yeah, we're done.
Did that?
Let's
Great.
go ahead and finish that. Yeah, I know what not to do next time.
Are we going to run into a team though that's defensive coordinator figures out how to put him in to make him uncomfortable?
It won't be in the fourth game of the season. It'll be like last year, I think, where Jalen played a great year. He hit the wall with Mississippi State, and he was never the same.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Jalen on lock, and Jalen couldn't do anything. From Mississippi State on, he was figured out. And I think everybody repeated what Mississippi State, how they defended Jalen. Auburn certainly did. The first game in the playoff, not so much, but we ran down the throat and the defense locked down. And then Georgia did it. I mean, he did the same thing in Georgia until Tua got in the game. They didn't know what to do. So if we see it, it'll be at the end of the season, I believe. I think it'll take all season for people to figure out Tua. And maybe he's talented enough that, you can figure him out, but he's going to put the ball right in there. There's only so much you can do with that.
So basically, nobody until the Auburn game is going to be able to stop Tua. I like that. That's a good prediction. Again, I can deal with that.
Again, Mississippi State is the whole reason Alabama fell apart last year. So it could be coming from a random place. Somebody figures it out you don't expect. I'm not saying they will, but Mississippi State definitely figured out Jalen.
They did.
But figuring out Tua is going to be a lot harder than figuring out Jalen.
Our audio-only podcast is hosted at podcastgarden.com/podcast/smackingoff. Or find us on Google Play Music. Or on iTunes.
Are you irritated with something we said on the podcast? Well then fuck you. Call the Smack line and tell us all about it at 304-508-BAIT. Don't be a pussy fuck boy. Call the Smack line today. Messages left on our Smack line will be used at the end of Smacking Off the podcast episodes.
Everybody knows now, if you can stack the box and don't let Alabama run and take away Jalen's primary receiver, he will not find the next receiver open.
And I love I love Tua just simply due to the fact that now we have an offense that leaves defenses guessing. And there's so much, all they can really do is kind of mitigate damage control at that point. They can't stop. All they can do is just try to, keep it somewhat respectable. You see what I'm saying? I guess really, I think we're all still pretty much in agreement that Alabama, Georgia at the SEC championship.
Aloha, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Aloha, motherfuckers.
And I think we'll go that way. Okay, real quick, who do y'all see outside of the SEC, outside of Clemson, doing anything?
Syracuse. No,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Clemson's not overrated. We're going to see.
I think they are
as time goes, but it's not going to shock me if Clemson.
I think we're going to find out. Well, we'll find out when Texas and Alabama play this weekend. We're going to know exactly, or Texas A&M and Alabama.
We won't know exactly because A&M was at home, but
it was at home at night, and Alabama's going to.
But if it's a completely lopsided affair like what we saw with Ole Miss last week, who was actually supposed to show out a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of talk at that point. Who can beat Alabama? We're not sure anybody can.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma will be there. If that's
Oklahoma's playing some really good ball right now. Again, they have yet another.
Well, they struggled against Iowa State a little bit, did they not?
They did, and again, Iowa State, for some reason or another, just has Oklahoma's number as far as at least be able to piss them off.
Yep.
Now, at the same time, though, Oklahoma was able to pull away in the end. They are a conference rival, and especially after the raw feelings from last year. So yeah, there's I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot to read into that because again, the fact that Oklahoma did win, at least by a respectable margin, maybe not.
How do y'all feel about Penn State? I don't see them losing.
I don't really either. Penn State's looking pretty damn good. They do have a rough patch down toward the end of their
Ohio State comes to Happy Valley. I think Ohio State will beat them, but I'm not sure.
Ohio State's balling.
But what happens if
I will say
Penn
this: the
State's
winner of the
undefeated?
Penn State-Ohio State game will probably be there.
Yeah.
So, okay, if
Wisconsin's been
Oklahoma's
exposed.
undefeated, Penn State's undefeated, Clemson's undefeated, and Georgia and Bama are obviously the two best teams in the country, which I think everybody knows they are. Where do we go with a playoff?
Well, at the same time, by the time we get to the playoffs, either Georgia or Bama will have a loss if they wind up in the.
Yeah, they'll have a loss, but look how they've treated the past few years. They have kind of said, okay, well, Alabama has a loss.
I think whoever loses the SEC
anyway.
And if either one of those teams goes in undefeated and wins the conference, then I think that's a no-brainer. And I think possibly
I think the loser goes in if they both go in undefeated.
I think you're going to see a political statement this year. I think the loser does not go in.
I think so too. I think there will be a little bit of SEC fatigue. There's been a lot of chatter about the fact that the ESPN has overly influenced the SEC's prominence, even though we all know as SEC fans that watch nearly every single one of these games that we were, Ole Miss and Texas Tech. And I know Texas Tech is not a huge, massive program, but Ole Miss really handled business very well in that game, to the point where, it wasn't even close. So I don't know. I
agree with you, Shannon. I think this. Look, if Alabama wins every game from here on out by 50 points, and they put up these astronomical numbers, and they lose to Georgia, and that's their only loss, I think they're in. And I don't know how they're going to justify it to the rest of the country, but I think they'll put Alabama in if Georgia beats them, and they just destroy everybody else.
I don't know. It's hard to argue with you when you put it like that, because also, too, it's just like last year. Alabama kind of eked in and basically reminded everybody why Alabama belonged in the playoffs by winning the whole damn thing. And
but nobody thought they deserved it until Tua dropped that pass.
And there's so much Alabama butthurt right now that there would be the cries would be blood curdling for Alabama in there. Now, I'll tell you this, and everybody can say what they want to about, I won't watch that game. That is absolute bullshit. If you're a fan of college football, you will cut on Alabama in prime time and see the greatest coach in action making his money.
Well, I'm going to let y'all go on this, but for me in Alabama, the scariest thing that I've heard Nick Saban say, and it was kind of an off comment, it was during the press conference post Ole Miss this week, and he was talking about how when they implemented the New England Patriots offense, I don't know if you caught that, Doug or Shannon, when he said, we've kind of been running on all cylinders since last year, and we implemented the New England Patriots offense.
Yeah, with Dable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. I mean, they're an NFL team at this point.
They really are.
I didn't watch that, but now I will have to go watch that. I didn't watch his, what you said, post Ole Miss press conference?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to pull that up.
SM Gibson, it is always a pleasure having you on the show. You're coming back later on in the season to gloat about some wins, right?
I would love to. It was an absolute privilege, gentlemen.
Take care, brother.
Yes, sir.
Don't give me that soda, same old cola. I want a rock and roller. I want a pop. I want a Shasta. I want to taste the zest. All the great taste Shasta has. I want a pop. I want a Shasta. I want a chill. I want a wild piece. And all I want it now. I want a pop. I want a.
Please welcome Mike Richardson to Smacking Off the Podcast.
Wildcat Mike is really you're in a pretty good mood about things as far as college football is concerned, right?
Yes, sir. I sure am.
How you feeling about the Wildcats? We have I really, this is kind of it's odd. I think we have been on the forefront of the success of the Wildcats as far as in the offseason. We've devoted a lot of conversation to the Wildcats.
Way more than I would have thought.
Yeah, way more, and there's a lot to talk about right now. Benny Snell, do we expect to see him in New York this December?
I mean, yeah, he should be without a doubt. My opinion might be a little biased, but
look, I'm a Bama fan, and I'm going to tell you what this is already what I predicted online. Is that if Kentucky goes to 9 wins this year, if Kentucky actually gets to 9 wins, or 8 wins in a pretty decent bowl, and they win the bowl game. Of course, it'll be after the selection, I'm sure. But 8 or 9 wins, the losses are by a slim margin. A lot of offensive production by Snell. Yeah, I see him in New York, and I see him actually ranking pretty high because Kentucky's kind of been used to being a cellar dweller for many years, and I don't know. I mean, sky's the limit right now, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, all credit due to Benny Snell. I mean, because that guy's. I mean, there ain't no first guy bringing him on the ground. I mean, you better bring a gang of people whenever you're ready to hit him. But I think one of the real big things that we have going for us, and something that a lot of people actually kind of overlook, is right now. I mean, Benny doesn't necessarily have to do everything by himself. If he does end up getting tired, I mean, A.J. Rose is a very, very good backup. And, I mean, like our first game out against Central Michigan, everybody got a nice little peek at that. I mean, A.J. Rose is kind of the lightning to Benny Snell's thunder. But that being said, though, I mean, our offense wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for Benny to begin with anyway.
Yeah. Well, and, that is kind of what a few of the naysayers, particularly Tennessee and Florida fans and, folks of that ilk are just kind of really generally sour about everything anyways.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard a little bit of chitter chatter. Well, you take Snell away and they're just another, shitty Kentucky team. And I really don't think that's true. I really don't. I see a lot of bright spots on both sides of the ball with Kentucky this year.
Well, and the thing about Benny Snell is while Benny Snell's naturally gifted, you don't get to be as good as Benny Snell, get as many yards and touchdowns as Benny Snell without having a good offensive line. Our offensive line's underrated as can be. I mean, I personally believe they can line up and shove with whoever it is they need to, whenever they have to. I mean, that's just my feelings on it. I mean, a lot of, our line's a lot better than what everybody gives them credit for. It ain't all just Benny. But, Terry Wilson is another nice new bright spot because, more evidence than anything in the Florida game, he can buy time with his feet, if he can hold on to the ball. That's been his only issue, really, has been his turnovers. But, I mean, if he gets that under control, he's the fastest guy on the field.
Let me tell you something funny. Let me tell you something funny really quick that I just was looking up while you were saying that. Are you ready for this? Right now in week 3, total defense. Speaking of Kentucky's defense, Kentucky is ranked 40th nationally. You know who's number 48?
Who's that?
Roll Tide.
Really?
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, we are week 3 of the season. There's no way that you could even possibly imagine that. But yeah, there it is right there as far as the the over total numbers. But yeah, UAB ranks better than Alabama.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Kirby Smart had a quick chuckle about that.
I'm sure.
Fuck yeah.
We got a lot of people need to start paying attention. Speaking of our defense, to Josh Allen. And if people don't know about him a whole lot right now, they don't know about him by the time it comes time for the draft because he'll be on a lot of people's boards. I mean, I've seen him anywhere from late first round to early second round draft pick. In my personal opinion, he's better than Bud Dupree was, and Bud Dupree was a first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Snell is sophomore or junior. I can't remember. Junior, right?
Snell Jr.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he balls it out pretty hard, he might already be headed to the NFL. But, boy, it'd be nice to see him come back for one more season and have Kentucky, really, really good for a couple runs. Probably stir up some recruitment and keep it going. I like where Stoops has got the program headed. He's doing an excellent job there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a heck of a recruiter, man. Just a matter of putting all that talent together now and actually keeping it consistent. I mean, we've got talent on either side of the ball. I mean, just keeping it playing consistent, getting the players not to hang their heads, which they did a lot last year. Whenever we get down, man, I've seen them hang their head more times than I care to. But now it's like this year, even even if the opponent does draw even, strike first or whatever, I mean, I don't see that out of this group. They're there to play. They don't care who they're lined up against. They're there to play, and they're going to play the best they can against whoever they're lined up against.
Mike, you sound a lot more confident than you did in the offseason. Even though you sounded confident in the offseason, you sound like you've seen the light now.
I have, man. I mean, there's been
hell, I see the light now. What are you talking about? I really honestly didn't believe that Kentucky would be balling like they are. I mean, I figured they'd have a good team this year, but they look like they're poised to do something. And you know, the SEC East, other than Georgia, is pretty wide open at the moment.
I think the Gators are getting torched right now about how terrible they are. I don't know how bad. I don't know if the Gators are that bad.
Missouri's 3-0 right now.
They sure are.
Check that out.
All right, Mike, we appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you, fellas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See, I work construction. I build things. Do you understand how important that is to the world? I don't know if y'all realize the pressure a man like me's got on him.
Doyle Hargraves Construction. Area code 304-508-2248. Quality craftsmanship. Affordable price.
Told you 3 times already. The law's on my side.
Talk about winning championships. They're a champion. They've won the biggest championship, and that's a championship of life.
Each week, Smacking Off presents our Life Championship Top 10. This week's Life 10 is brought to you by Bad Month Tires. You don't have the slack for Goodyear, so why not aim for the middle? Bad Month Tires, the most economical tire money can buy. Also brought to you by Doyle Hargrave Construction.
Stay out of my goddamn face, you fucking buzzard.
Also brought to you by Dapper Dan Polmade.
But I don't want fuck, goddammit. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
And now, this week's Life Championship Top 10. Number 10, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 9, the Washington Huskies. Number 8, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Number 7, the Penn State Nittany Lions. Number 6, the TCU Hornetoes. Number 5, the USC Trojans. Number 4, the Auburn Tigers. Number 3, the Florida State Seminoles. Number 2, falling from the number 1 spot last week, the Michigan Wolverines. And this week's numero uno, the big cheese of week 4, the Wisconsin Badgers.
#Family Smack. The worst smack group ever. Look for us on Facebook and on MeWe.
This segment is brought to you by #FamilySmack. The worst smack group ever.
Please welcome Shannon Russell to Smaking of the podcast.
Man, you had a good weekend, didn't you?
I sure did. I told y'all we were going to win.
I know.
Is this Walter?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Walter.
No, Walter's not
I didn't pick on you too bad. If you're a Bama fan, you'd have gotten it really bad. So
Walter's not here. Actually, though, me and Shannon are both Bama fans.
Yeah, we're both Bama fans. So what do you got to say about that, ho?
We're going to beat your ass in Death Valley.
Yeah, you beat something, but it won't be my ass.
Hey, ESPN's even saying it's the best LSU team.
ESPN can suck my balls. Ed Ogeron is still the worst fucking head coach that Ole Miss ever had. Y'all settled for the best.
We settled for the best.
You settled for the best, yes. No, actually, Auburn did. I'm just kidding. $49. They're paying that man $49 million for that.
They're paying Gus that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he gets paid.
I know. I found it funny that they gave an extension just because he beat Bama last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Still had 4 losses. I mean,
got beat. Actually, made UCF feel like national champions with that loss. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Auburn.
but technically
Thank you
they
for that.
are. Technically they are now. They share the title with y'all.
That's my dick.
not that title that Saban held up. That's something
No,
totally different.
that's
You
like
have to
the
go
real
to
one.
the playoffs to get that shit.
Yeah, that's the real one. They got the consolation
Do you have to win your
prize.
conference? Do you have to win your conference?
So that's got nothing to do with it.
You don't have to.
If you get invited in and you win 2 games, that's all you
Y'all
got to do.
backdoored y'all's way in twice. You realize that, right? The year y'all played us,
Yeah.
y'all didn't win the SEC title because we did.
There was a rumor that Alabama was better than LSU that year, and they just blew it in Tuscaloosa. And I'll be damned, it looked like it ended up being true.
No, we just played like shit. We didn't play our best. If we did that was not a number 1 team game, and you know that. Which Bama deserved to win because we played so horrible, but that doesn't mean y'all are better than us. We just didn't play better that night.
Obviously.
Man, you got one game. Hold on now. You got one game left. One game, and it's for all the marbles.
All the marbles. Every one of them.
That's where the cream comes to the top.
Yep.
You will agree with that, right?
That's all y'all care about. That's why they give y'all a cupcake schedule. Y'all can get there. That's why y'all care about some trophies.
Yeah, y'all should take notes. I encourage every single salty.
How do we take notes when the SEC offices in y'all state is the one that gives the schedule?
Yeah, we pay everybody off. That's what it is. Y'all need to just come off some more money. There ain't no money. There's no money in LSU. Everybody knows that.
So how many Auburn fans last week told you that there's no fucking way LSU is going to win?
Go ahead. You can name them personally.
Several.
Yeah, name them all personally. That would be awesome, actually.
To the point where they kicked me out of an LSU haters group.
Ooh. There's an LSU haters group? Why am I not a part of this?
Oh, God. Please go join it. So they couldn't handle me. I gave them more activity than the actual haters themselves, and they didn't like it.
You could go add Shannon in, but you're not there anymore.
No, you're not there anymore. That's sad. You were my one last hope to join this wonderful group. It sounds like I would have a lot of fun there.
Oh, I really had more fun with the Auburn fans in there than the Bama fans because I have a lot of Bama friends, fans that are friends. Family members that are Bama fans. Y'all know my dad's a Bama fan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember that.
We talked about that.
Yeah. So
it's a good man.
I was raised to think Bear Bryant was Jesus, and Saban was.
Is Bear Bryant
Jesus 2.0?
Was Bear Bryant not Jesus?
He was. He was. Yeah, he is. I love Saban. I'm not one of those LSU people that hate Saban. I respect the man. I've got proof that I've gotten slammed and called the most horrible things in the LSU groups a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right before they fired Les. And I was just stating facts that Saban was a better coach, and and this and that, and they just had a cow. They can't stand me to say that. Not all LSU fans, not all, but some. The snowflake ones, I call them. The Les lovers, they hate Saban. It's kind of to be fair,
we
were talking about that earlier today.
They kind of have a reason to, I guess. I can understand. I still have pretty raw feelings towards Denny Francione, to be honest. Yeah, that asshole.
I will say this. If I'm going to sit and listen to a man talk for 10 minutes, it would be Les Miles over Saban any day of the fucking week.
Yeah, and Les Miles, he gave a great interview.
Why should you laugh how stupid he sounds about eating grass and shit?
I think he's brilliant. I think he's kind of like, gosh.
He's goofy.
It's really hard to pin down somebody like Dennis Hopper, maybe. Dennis Hopper was still alive. Kind of a younger Dennis Hopper, maybe in the 80s. Blue Velvet Dennis Hopper could have played Les Miles to a T and won an Academy Award. I think.
That's sad. We're going to beat Bama, though. I just want to let y'all know. Get ready for it. I don't think y'all prepared yourselves for it. So I don't think you two will disappear from these groups.
No.
But I know a lot will. But just go ahead and prepare yourself that
I will be. If that happens, I will be leading the charge for Nick Saban to be fired.
Fire Nick Saban.
Yeah, fire Nick Saban. I'm going to start the GoFundMe.
Are you serious? You think people really want to fire him if he loses LSU?
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely. We can't. We can't
have.
That's your bandwagon fans. Y'all need to get rid of them anyway.
We can beat Auburn, or Auburn can beat us at the end of the season, and us still go to the national championship. But I don't think we'd be able to rebound from a loss to LSU. I think it would completely derail our whole season. So yeah, I think I really in that situation we need to be more proactive and just go ahead and get rid of Saban immediately. And who would we?
Yeah, maybe he'll come back to LSU.
We can get Kiffin back if that happens. Yeah. Lane Kiffin's tearing it up at FAU right now. They didn't beat Oklahoma like everybody said they would.
No.
So are you two just trying to pull my leg and act like I don't like Saban all of a sudden?
No, I mean he's the greatest man ever, actually, to walk the face of the earth. But if he loses against LSU this year, yeah, he's got to go.
Poor Saban.
Yeah, it's there, and it's there are no gray areas when you're a Bama fan. You know this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you learn. Your father taught you well, even though you still grew up a corn dog.
I didn't grow up corn dog. My dad was never liked LSU. He hates LSU. He's never ever liked LSU. I'm an LSU alumni, and of course, my dad's not from here. He's not from Alabama either. He was born in Mississippi. He was also adopted, but
what part of Mississippi was
he never liked LSU. And of course, when his family moved here, his brothers naturally jumped on the LSU bandwagon because my grandpa was actually an Ole Miss fan. So my dad likes Ole Miss, but he likes Bama better. But that's the only two teams that he really, you know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people think that's funny when people have two teams. He doesn't really root for Ole Miss. I'm just saying he doesn't hate Ole Miss, and he will. If it's Alabama and Ole Miss playing like last week, he's root for Bama, but he will pull for Ole Miss though, on other days. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever.
I know, but he's a diehard Alabama fan. He is. But I think the Ole Miss thing comes in because of his dad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I don't.
He doesn't hate Ole Miss, and he he'll sit there and watch it with my grandpa or whatever because he likes Ole Miss.
I'll take this full circle really quick. I don't know how he could ever be an Ole Miss fan after what Ed Ogeron did to their program.
Well, yeah, no, he and that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't watch them. My grandpa passed away, but he doesn't watch them like he used to. But used to, the only two teams that he really paid attention to was Ole Miss and Alabama. But obviously, it was like I said, it was only because my grandpa did, so he didn't like slam them for that reason. Just like if my dad was in these sports groups, I probably wouldn't talk as much crap. You know what I mean? Like I don't hate Bama. That'll never be my number one team. But if something happens with my dad, I'm not going to throw his throwback Bear Bryant jacket away.
You need to add your dad to hashtag Family Smack. That would be awesome.
Look, my dad, I cannot ruffle his feathers. Period. I guess that's why I talk so much crap because he can handle it. But he's funny, and my dad. I'm telling you, my dad knows more about football than anybody I've ever known. And trust me, me and my dad go round and round. I'm not saying that just because he's my dad. You believe me if you talk to him. Because I'll be honest, not that I know everything, but a lot of people are amazed that I'm a woman that knows football. And I said, you don't understand. My dad was a coach. My dad lives, eats, and breathes Alabama football.
You would have no relationship with your father if it weren't for football. That's the tie that brings you together.
Yeah, and so see, but it's made it fun. Like that we pick on each other about it, and like okay, for instance, like whenever, like my brother doesn't hate Alabama either. Mm-hmm. Okay, but he does like LSU. He's not like me, like a diehard fan, because my brother went to he was going to go to Ole Miss. We actually went to Mississippi State, so for college. But anyway, but LSU wanted him, but my dad was like,
I think the party scene in Oxford is better than Starkville, though. He's not much of a party guy, is he?
Who?
Your brother.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, if he was a party guy, Oxford's where it's at. Hugh Freeze taught us that much.
Yeah, it's bad. It's crazy. It's Mississippi State. Are they like in a dry county? Is that something like that? My brother's 7 years older than me. I don't remember all that, but he's not a party animal.
I don't know much about Starkville, other than the fact that Mississippi State plays there. I have no knowledge of Starkville whatsoever. Oxford, though, I know a little bit about Oxford. I know some people that came out of there, that crawled up out of there.
They crawled up out of there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good writing school if you want to be a writer. And
yeah, that's what I've heard.
And if you're a fan of sports, yeah, you're probably better going somewhere else.
Hey, I'm Coach O. I just love my Hummer. I believe the Hummer is the best vehicle on the road. Big, tough, aggressive, and it represents everything that we want at Ole Miss. I have my Hummer. You need a Hummer. Tell them about it, JoJo.
Mississippi, they are here. The new Rogers Dabbs H3 Hummers are here.
The folks at Rogers Dabbs Hummer are first-team players. Come see them.
Rogers Dabbs and Hummer like nothing else. New H3 starting at just $32,000.
Love it.
What's LSU got next?
We are playing Louisiana Tech. Yes, we have a cupcake this week.
Okay.
That's fine. We play those from time to
Okay,
time.
and you know your team is undefeated, and they're fixing to be 4-0.
We're about to be 4-0.
Okay, so
then we play the week after that, I believe, is Florida, and then Georgia.
What game worries you the most on the schedule?
Is that right? Actually, they have not scheduled the time of the Georgia game.
The Georgia game is being held where?
Like
in
if
Athens?
the Georgia game is a night game, it is
That's
going to
in
be more
Death Valley.
challenging for them. I'm not going to say that gives an automatic win, but it's a known fact if you know anything about Death Valley.
Death Valley is a very hard place to win.
Right, and I know Clemson calls their stadium Death Valley too, but the Bayou Bengal of Death Valley, it's known as the number one place at night. That's the hardest for the opposing team or guest team, whatever you want to call it, to win. And it's just if you look at this, the statistics on it, it's there's a reason for that. It's true. So, but Georgia is, I think we can all agree that Georgia has come a long way. They're a great team. Kirby is a great coach, obviously, because he worked under Saban for so long. But I also remind the Georgia fans that he's still not Saban. You can learn a lot from someone and become great, but that doesn't mean they're going to become just like Saban. I mean, I think Saban's one of those like Bear Bryant, once in a lifetime coach.
I love to bring the stat up every single time I can that Nick Saban is still currently undefeated against every single one of his assistants that have gone on to head coach.
True story.
True story. Actually, yeah. So the A&M Alabama gets that tiny little side story in the background too.
Yep.
Yet again.
Sure does.
I think honestly though, Texas A&M is going to be a tougher game. I mean, if you go with the fact that they got Jimbo Fisher now, I mean you got to give him some credit, and they played very well against Clemson. Now that doesn't mean that they're going to play.
Who else played very well against Clemson? That was Alabama in the playoffs last year. But
and Syracuse last year.
Hey, and we beat Syracuse. Clemson's only loss.
I'm not going to be.
We beat Syracuse.
I remember that. I'm not going to be shocked if Clemson just ends up being a little bit overrated.
Me neither. I think they're overrated. I do. I mean, the way they play. I mean, yeah, they won in 2016. The national championship, as y'all know. But I don't know. And Dabo's a great coach, and I don't want to sound like every other fan out there, but the ACC, I mean, it's not a great conference as a whole.
No, you're right.
Clemson is great.
Well, let me ask you a question, both of you. Do you think that Clemson's current ranking right now in week 3 of this year's AP poll, do you think that ranking is actually justified? A lot of people have said the same thing about Alabama so far. Of course, Alabama, I propose, has won all of their games in a very convincing, dominant fashion.
Well, honestly, they put Clemson as number 1 the first week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute. Bama is the reigning champs. Why would they put Clemson? And they keep raving about, and I really think it's the media, but I don't just always follow what the media says. I take some things if it makes sense, and I do read a lot, and I compare things, but I keep hearing about Clemson's defense this year, and they said the same thing about Clemson's defense last year, and Bama showed their defense. They're not nothing.
Yeah, they
I
walked
like
all over them.
Defense is very underrated. People keep saying Miami look like trash, but honestly, and y'all can, I really want y'all's opinion on this, because this is not something that I hear from somebody else. It's my own opinion I formed. I feel like LSU's defense is very underrated. Our front 7, if you watch, we made Miami play bad. We made Auburn look bad because our front 7 is hard to deal with. And if you think about the Bama and LSU game last year, we actually had more total yards than Bama. Not much more. I think we had like 306. Bama had like 2 something. It was maybe like a 10-yard difference.
It was like in the 290s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was real
like
close.
291, 299, something like that. So it's not a whole lot of difference, but it goes. And I know that yards doesn't matter. It's
That scoreboard, yeah.
It's a scoreboard. In fact, one of the final things that they said, the commentators was, wow, this LSU team, look at the yards, but you got to make, look at the scoreboard. You got to execute on those big plays. We didn't have an offense, just like the last 10 years. That's been our problem. Is our offense. We didn't have a quarterback. I still think we have problems on offense. I'm not going to say that that we're perfect on offense, and we still make mistakes. And playing better teams, that's going to bite us in the ass if we don't clean that up. I think Burrow is a much better quarterback. I do think he's inexperienced. He's going to need more experience, especially playing against tougher defense.
Well, he got a hell of an experience going down to Auburn and doing what he could to make sure that the game was manageable. And it was
he's a good manager. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he plays smart. He thinks quick.
Winning at Jordan Hare
to the setup of the defense, and he's like, okay. I mean, he's very good. He's very smart. I'll give him that.
Yeah, winning at Jordan Hare is a huge, huge deal these days. It really is, particularly because Auburn is definitely doing something to poison opposing teams' water, making sure that the heat doesn't work or the hot water doesn't work.
LSU must have brought their own shit.
Thumbtacks on the benches, yeah.
Thumbtacks on the benches.
They must all took showers on a bus.
Okay, so could we all agree that those refs were just horrible? I know we won anyway, and I hate to use ref excuses because especially if you're the loser, because they make you look weak. But we won, and I'm still going to.
There's a lot of that conference.
The Auburn people are screaming this week. They're saying that they got screwed.
Well, they probably.
Well, I'm going to tell you why, because it seemed like the first half they called everything on LSU. And I told the Auburn fans, look, I'm not saying that we didn't commit the penalties, and like I even said, LSU
quite a lot of them, I might add, for both teams.
Well, right, because they both had 9. So. But my issue was one, LSU, when you're playing on their turf, you don't give them a reason to call.
Now, I think it was like 190 something as far as the yardage given up for penalties.
Yeah, it was
111,
almost 200 total for both. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of yardage.
And I hate to say this because but I know it happens in every game. Okay, I'm not one of these like to be a crybaby because like I said, we won. But I feel like the first half. They saw Auburn losing. And it's like they called. It's like every single play, especially when LSU had the ball, they were calling every penalty. But I saw so many times holding on Auburn, didn't call it. Pass interference, didn't call it. I mean, it's like, how could you not see that? And it almost was like they didn't even care because they knew they weren't going to call it. And so then once Auburn was beating us, then it was like, oh, all of a sudden they start calling things on Auburn. And I really think they thought they had this game in the bag. I mean, they were winning until the 2 seconds of the game. And I think they should try to make it not look so obvious. I really do. I really think they thought they had it in the bag. They were winning. And, of course, Auburn fans were screaming. The calls, the last quarter especially, were unfair. But they're not looking at the first half. I know they missed a lot of calls on Auburn. That's just my opinion. Now, maybe they missed some on LSU, but it seemed like they called they called targeting and threw what's his name out of the game? Who was it? They threw out on LSU. It was what was his name?
I didn't see. I actually heard about the targeting, but I don't remember what player it was.
Now he deserved it. It was. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying that he didn't deserve or we didn't deserve to call. They definitely committed the penalties.
Mm-hmm.
But my issue was it really seemed like they didn't call crap on Auburn in the beginning, and and I really think, especially whenever there were times that they would have given us a first down, and we got penalized, and Burrow was managing the ball, and we were just putting the gas on them, and it's like, but like I said, that's Coach O needs to realize, and I was honest. You don't get penalties happen in every game, but that was ridiculous on our part too. But you can, when you're playing on somebody else's turf, especially, you cannot give them reason. Usually it's home team advantage. You cannot give them reason to call the penalties. So Coach O definitely needs to get on their ass and practice on that because that was horrible too.
Go ahead and call it right now. Does LSU win the SEC West? Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team. I mean, if you beat Bama in the regular season, I don't see anybody that's going to be able to stop you.
No, I don't either.
Possibly not even Georgia.
You've already got the Auburn win, so
yeah.
Yeah, the only other tough team to play in the West really is I mean, Mississippi State's good, but they scolded like this last year. I mean,
if you lose to Georgia,
that definitely deflated LSU season.
If y'all lose to Georgia, but you beat Alabama, then you're going to win the tiebreaker against Alabama and Auburn. That's what you're going to need to win the West.
Right, and I predicted. I picked on the Bama fans. I said, "What are y'all going to do if we beat, Bama, but we don't beat Georgia?" And honestly, but here's the thing: if you look at the history, Bama is the only team that can win in Death Valley. They have won more than any other team in Death Valley. It does not affect Bama, even before Saban. For whatever reason, Bama does well in Death Valley. Y'all, we play each other every year, so y'all are used to.
Seems like he knows that stadium like the back of his hand.
Even before Saban, though.
Yeah.
It was a trend that went on for a lot of years. Is that it used to be where LSU always won up here and Bama always won down there.
Right, and I think a lot of it had to do with just they maybe had in their mind they had to play harder because they're not at home. I don't know what what that reason is, but you're right, and I thought we played well, and in Bryant-Denny Stadium last year. I mean, we lost, obviously. I mean, I get that, but we were very capable of winning that game. I mean, Bama's tough though. I'm not going to sit here and say, but that's even when. And I had some honest Bama fans, kind of give their opinion on it, and I had to agree with them. That's the difference in Bama and other teams. Bama's the best; they're good. But even on an off day when y'all have injuries and players out, whatever, Saban always finds a way to overcome the adversities on his team. Even like when Mississippi State really, give them a run for y'all's money. I mean, in the end. Saban's gonna pull a rabbit out of his hat, is what I always say, and win that game. And honestly, and I joke, we talk about the NC game and the refs and all that, but they made some bad calls on Alabama. But you can't take away the fact that play at the end was executed perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, and that's what separates Bama from everyone else. That's what you do. That's where you learn. That's what you do. Like, that was my problem with Les Miles is, yes, we won, several times with seconds on the clock. I mean, he'd have me sit on the edge of my seat, just my nerves, because it wasn't necessary.
And then there would be those other games where he just completely forgot about the clock altogether and a place and time that he definitely should not. Yeah, there was some. I think we had talked about that last week for a minute. Les Miles, I don't know. Maybe there was something in the grass.
Maybe the grass.
Yeah.
Made him a little high and
No. I would never propose that Les Miles would do the pots. But yeah, he probably did the pots.
Yep.
Look, they had the players. I think it was.
I mean, you ever hear some of the shit that comes out of that man's mouth? He's got to be a little high on something.
That's what I'm saying. Like something got to his head because he was out there.
I still think Les Miles was a wonderful coach, and I'm astounded that he is not. He's not back in coaching now. I don't know if he's just going to continue.
Yeah, but come on. You remember the NC game in 2012? That was horrible. That is like the opposite. Everything he did was the opposite of what Saban would have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you saw how they pulled Jalen out in the NC game. He put Tua in. That's what you do. Why he didn't put Jarrett Lee in and take Jefferson out? Jefferson did horrible. Do y'all remember that game? I remember it like yesterday. He threw several interceptions, but one I'll never forget. He threw an underhand toss. I mean, like, straight into the Alabama player's arms. I mean, just like he was playing for the wrong team. That was just one of many mistakes. I mean, he made everything he did.
I don't know. As a Bama fan, I think he was playing for the right team that day.
Exactly. I'm sure. Yeah, for y'all it worked well. But
yeah, I had no complaints with old Jefferson. None whatsoever. I've never said a bad word about the man.
But for some reason, I mean, Miles was stuck on, a lot of coaches. Because I've listened to former quarterbacks, good quarterbacks from LSU, Rohan Davey being one, and there's reasons why it's important that you have your quarterback that starts and that your team is pro, because they're supposed to be the leader of the team, right? They're supposed to manage the game. They call the plays. Your quarterback's supposed to be your number one guy, right? And so you have it's having a leader like that is important, and you don't want your team divided. And I get that, but Saban is good about saying, look, we need to put Tua in. You support your quarterback, whatever. It's all psychological. But I really, and the reason why I'm saying all that is because Les got stuck on that. I've listened to interviews from former players. He got stuck on, no, we're going to leave Jefferson in because he made the decision to remove Lee as quarterback and let Jefferson, finish out the year as quarterback. But that's the reason why you have backups too. It's not just for injuries. Sometimes it's just not their day. And they kept saying that Jordan Jefferson got drunk the night before. He was hungover. He shouldn't play. All the players tried to tell him. And, I mean, it was obvious the way he was playing. So, I don't know. Y'all aren't saying nothing. You agree, disagree?
Well, I can't say anything to that because then I also, as soon as you said that, I got to thinking about, like, Kenny Stabler and Joe Namath and the guys back in the day. And those guys, this was long before drug testing. This was before, alcohol testing.
They did better after a night on the town.
Those guys did a night on the town and would come in and snort a little blow on the way out and go have a hell of a performance.
Hell, if he was doing that and it worked for us, then I could give a shit less. But he played horrible.
Have you ever tried to go out in the heat like all squirreled up on blow? It is not a good thing. I don't recommend that to anybody. No, I mean, nothing. I would never do anything like that for the children listening at home.
He should have pulled him out of that game, though. I mean, just like what Saban did, he pulled Jalen out. He put, because they were all on him. I mean, he couldn't overcome that defense, but he put Saban knew they needed to throw the ball. The passing game had to up the passing game, and I find that Jalen's better at the running game. Tua obviously is better at the passing game, or he's a dual threat. I get it, but obviously the kid's got an arm. He can execute, and it worked. You won. So that's all I'm saying is when you see that
still winning, I might add. Yeah.
What?
I said, and still winning, I might add. You can ask your
dad.
I'm sure he watched the old Miss Alabama game.
But but that was the thing. I mean, I think Georgia was giving y'all a hell of your money with the obviously with the defense because y'all had zero at halftime.
It came down to the wire. No two ways around it.
If you've got the defensive line to do this, if you can stop Alabama's run and take away, and this is if Jalen's under center, and take away Jalen's primary receiver, he cannot recover. He's got one guy he likes to throw to, and if he's not open, he cannot find the next open
It's
guy.
either going to the sidelines or he'll try to scramble for a few yards.
Yeah,
that's every single time.
But if you remember the Alabama LSU game, hell, we couldn't cross the 50. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't pass the ball.
I remember that well.
We looked sloppy.
Yep.
So that was Les's problem, though. If he knew how to overcome those things, he sure didn't show it. I just feel like he should have said, okay, look, it's not working with Jefferson because not only it wasn't like he just made a minor mistakes here. No, he was throwing interceptions. He's turning over the ball left and right.
Yeah, Alabama was going to get blown out against Georgia if they didn't make a change at quarterback.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened.
Saban had the balls to do it. He said, I'm going to have to make a change and we'll have to go with a fucking freshman.
Yeah.
And what was the score of the LSU Alabama game at NC? We scored nothing because we never got past the 50.
Right.
So he should have made a change at quarterback. That's where the problem was. We had good defense back then. We've always had good defense ever since Saban came to LSU. Our defense
among some of the best in the
issue.
country. No two ways around it.
Our defense is. I mean, really, we have defense that can beat some NFL teams.
Mm-hmm.
They get drafted left and right. We get more players drafted than any other team other than Alabama. So really, it should come down to if you got a decent quarterback. And that's the thing. Every team is going to be better at one or the other. Your rarely going to be equal on both. And in my opinion, I mean, close to equal, but it's about consistency. I think that's why Mississippi State was so good last year, because they were very physical, and you don't always have to be the best, but they were consistent. That's the key. You can be consistent on both sides of the ball. You're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I agree.
And now our problem is we were our own defense. We were good at defense over and over again, but offense is like nothing. I mean, the defense gave them so many opportunities, and they just threw it away. But, I mean, like I said, our O-line is a lot better. Our depth chart's a lot better. It's just, I'm excited, and they look better. I'll say this. I was telling people at the beginning of the season, LSU has improved. I had a lot of
there's
faith.
no doubt.
But Shannon, we got a boogie. It's been really, really, really great talking with you tonight, and I'm sure you will be back on the show later this season.
Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I love to run my mouth, but I love talking football. I am passionate about it, and look, I talk a lot of smack, but I have a lot of respect for Bama. I love Nick Saban. You guys are gonna be tough to beat. I think we have a chance.
Well, now I will say this though, as far as the whole respecting Bama thing, you saw the Ole Miss game last week, right? Or did you see some of the highlights from it?
Oh yeah.
You have no choice but to respect Bama this year. Aloha, motherfucker. Later.
Yeah,
take care.
Be hard to play.
Have a good night.
You too. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the small smacking off icon at the top of the screen now. Click the link at the bottom of the screen to watch last week's episode.